Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow Masterclass, a series of digital exclusive conversations that we do here on the Times Network. My name is Sunanda Jai-Seelan, and every Wednesday and Friday we're going to be bringing you this two-part special series of what we're doing on our digital platforms. Tonight is part 2 of a conversation that we did as far as Budget 2022 and you are concerned.
For logistics, it has been an important budget. IMT is what you can tell. If you can expand the thing, it is integrated logistics, multimodal connectivity, and PM Gati Shakti plan.
So what that means is that there is going to be infrastructure created for metros. You need jobs for that. You need infrastructure for the hubs and spokes. There could be electric vehicles that are running in that spokes. You need high-end people maybe at the metro stations, maybe as metro drivers. And I'm just giving one example to show that kind of infrastructure can create so many jobs.
The whole 5G thing is about Industry 4.0. It is about tying up the whole ecosystem. So we as operators would end up rolling networks, but then those networks are best utilized when you're basically looking at enterprise solutions.
So very quickly, I'll just take in this question that's coming to us from Manoj Patel of fxmtrack.com. He says, how will infrastructure alternate financing push increasing productivity, scaling of EV industries, or transforming really of SMEs and MSMEs, therefore getting an impact as far as urban jobs are concerned?
So thank you. First of all, it's such an important question. Okay.
Sure.
One side EV you talked about, let's say, yeah, I'm assuming that's electric vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the other hand, you said alternate financing and infrastructure. How do they help, etc. Right? So just to say, EV is a beautiful marketplace example. For example, if you take EV three-wheelers, what experiment Kerala did in terms of the three-wheelers entrepreneurs come together. And therefore they said, we will help you, and each entrepreneur can then run one or more autos, drive himself or have it driven, and create an MSME background. Even the marketplace can be driven by an MSME, because it could be only, the marketplace could only be for Kerala. This can mushroom across the country, and we have parity of pricing for three-wheelers. So there is, for example, an EV three-wheeler group. And then I'm just saying EV three-wheeler is just an example. You don't have to limit yourself to EV.
Yeah.
So what do we need? We need infrastructure, and we need alternate financing, and we need marketplace and technology approach to do this.
So in keeping with that question, which brought in the point of jobs, our first poll question, this is for all of our audience members, is available on your screens. Do you think this budget was favorable for job creation? That's the first poll we're putting out. We want to hear from you. You've all been hearing from our experts. We would love to hear from you, yes or no. We'll come back with the poll results in just a moment. And the results coming in, an overwhelming majority saying yes. 78% of all of you who've logged into today's masterclass are saying yes, favorable for job creation. 22% saying no. What more then is needed for job creation? That's something we'll discuss. But in this situation, what is, how do you think things are going to pan out as far as liquidity is concerned? What should the government be doing? And also, even as we've seen the announcement on the extension and the expansion of the emergency credit-linked guarantee scheme for small businesses, what more should be done? That's the question to all three of you. Balaji, is that something that you perhaps would like to take first? I see you nodding, so I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I think, to my mind, beneath the Partha would be able to answer that better. But directionally, I would say, if I just step back, in a way, us as a nation, with the support from the government and from each other in one dimension, have started to figure out the right balance between life and livelihood. It is also a fact that this particular variant of this wave has been, in that sense, less disruptive overall. It takes you down for a little while, and so I think that's one part of it, driven because of a huge impact of vaccination. The vaccination drive that has been done, by the government and citizens have actually responded positively, ensured that the defenses were built up pretty significantly, and that's also allowed us to come back faster and in that sense stronger. The experience, the first wave and the second, have also taught us how we can be more resilient. And so to that extent, I would say it has, in a way, reduced the burden for having to come up with only subsidies or subvention or delaying stuff. That's one dimension I'd like to touch. And therefore, the point that Partha and Vineet talked about, the government's emphasis has been a little bit more to drive growth, and the fact that they chose to move from 6.7% GDP deficit to only 6.4 means they've given themselves enough room to put a lot of emphasis on growth on one end, to turbocharge various sectors, and the steps that they've taken, not just for the budget but prior to that as well, to address stress in different sectors from time to time is also very welcome. And the last part is around ensuring that with the geopolitical changes that they are taking place, where there is a China plus one strategy for many companies, that we have the opportunity to use the PLI and other schemes in multiple sectors to therefore become part of that global value chain.
Sure.
So a few things like that come to my mind, which are allowing us to come back a little stronger and faster than we would have done in wave 1 or wave 2.
Just to supplement those points, I think there are two aspects of things that can be done. One is from MSMEs themselves. I think they need to move more and more towards formalization, which means that once they are more formal, they will be able to claim things like input credit. Now that can help you to reduce your costs. I'm getting very nitty-gritty, but I need to say that this will really help and create an impetus to organizations. On the government side, one clear aspect is demand creation, which could mean that the GST rates for certain kinds of products, for example, two-wheelers today is at 28%. That can easily come down, and that can really help spur demand. And once these rates get jiggled up and there is a demand creation simultaneously, MSMEs are claiming input credit, we should see that revival start coming back. So it's a combination of various things that have to happen. Clearly, the third wave has been muted, and we do expect less disruptions in the coming financial year. And maybe if there are disruptions, we'll be able to handle it better with our experience. So definitely a lot more positive news for the MSME sector in the next few months.
Okay, there's a question that's coming to us from Swapnil Kumar. If you could please talk about what sort of investments, the question is, as we set to become this $5 trillion economy, what are the investments that need to be made into the digital economy? And if I can add one question of my own to that, to piggyback on that, saying, for entrepreneurs who are watching today, what are perhaps the areas or the sectors or the trends or the opportunities that you would advise for them to look at when it comes to this growth?
Sure, thank you. It's an excellent question. I guess the government started the journey a little bit before. They had a gold telecoms reform. They called it Reforms 1.0 in September. Again, there was stress in the sector. They tried to release that, in terms of moratoriums and so on. They're also talking about, Reforms 2.0, where some of the older litigations could potentially be dealt with, and some taxes could be reduced, because 33% of the taxes is the kind of 33% revenue ends up in taxes, and the government has been in their national digital communication policy talking about bringing that burden down. That puts more money in the hands of the telecom sector to invest more. And these investments with the 5G plan, again, what the industry has been requesting, and we are quite hopeful because this government has been listening very carefully. We say 5G has a multiplier effect, and it has, most importantly, the ability of creating ecosystems. The kind of people that we did 5G trials with, the young people, small enterprises, micro enterprises, coming up with brilliant ideas to use the technology They know exactly what needs to be done to solve real life problems. They are in multiple spaces. It's in security, it is in sports, it's in education, it is in telehealth, and so on and so forth. All of these are opportunities that are there to capture. All the government, in a way, we requested to be done is that look at the spectrum auctions in a more, should I say, in a more benign manner. And so far, the budget does indicate that the government doesn't want to use the spectrum auctions of 5G to make a lot of money. They're looking at very small allocations for this year coming from the auctions, although they want to, have these auctions done on low prices, good payment terms, so that the networks come up. The moment networks come up, the entrepreneurs and the youngsters can then use those networks to create the magic around the areas that I spoke about, whether it's geospatial systems, drones, AI. Today, for entrepreneurs, software as a service, cloud services basically means you can scale up as you want, you pay as you want. You don't have to make upfront investment. And that's the best part of this model. And so their cost of launching services and scaling up comes down dramatically. All they do is to do some introspection to make sure the areas that they want to get into, where the investments are coming, where they want to go. And whatever areas they choose today is the growth area only. And so to that extent, it's about making up their mind and where they want to put their emphasis for the next 3 to 5 years.
I'm going to take a quick break on that note. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow Masterclass. I'm going to take our second poll question immediately after I take this audience question. This one is coming to us from Sahadevan Vijayan of Green Act. He says, what's the future for battery swappable EVs as a product or service, which is the ideal solution for replacing petrol fuel vehicles? Currently, the range of the vehicle is a huge mental block for smoother adoption.
Coming to this, the range anxiety is probably one of the biggest anxieties in the adoption. Okay, so clearly, this battery, something to be done with battery can work. Okay.
Okay.
There are two kinds of issues that we are grappling with here. So therefore, which is why I'm saying I gave an example of three-wheeler. Okay, a three-wheeler does not do more than 100 kilometers every day, and if the battery does serve a 100-kilometer range, they are done and dusted. Charge when you eat. Like you charge yourself, charge when you have lunch, charge when you have breakfast, charge when you have dinner, and it's all okay. Yeah, and you can do. So, but when you talk about intercity travel, etc., where the kilometer range becomes very higher, then how do we do? Okay, how do we do this? There are two parts to it. One is if we take battery as a service, forget about chargeable or otherwise, right? Battery as a service.
Yeah.
You get battery wherever you want, just like you get and it's food off the counter. So if you do this, then life should become easier, right? The key thing is who is going to invest on all this, and how do we ensure that every manufacturer comes with the same kind of specs, etc. So that's the challenge there, and the cost. Yeah. So you're basically saying take off the 35 cost of the product and then you give it as a service. So cloud as a service has come. So maybe its time has come. Sometime it will come in the future. The other one is, if you are able to find petrol, like the petrol station equivalent of charging stations, go there and you shoot a jet and it gets, so the fast charging, right? If you can charge in 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, so as it goes on, then you can extend that, and night it can charge easily, or when you're resting it can charge easily, and the other time you use fast charging.
Sure.
So I think these are the two technologies which have to develop. One, I won't say is superior to the other. Both, it can both go either way. Both are challenges and opportunities, but both of them have to be evolved and experimented with as a country in order to get there.
Okay.
If I just want to add something, this is now related to passenger. What Parthasarathy ji said about was related to passenger, but I would like to talk a little bit more about freight. And what we are seeing in the next 5-7 years in terms of the movement from ICE, which is the internal combustion engine, is that on the hubs, between the hubs, we should see movement either using CNG, LNG or hydrogen. And in the spokes, we might be seeing CNG, LNG and EV because that's a shorter distances typically. So this is a broad trend. Of course, these are all things that can change based on price, on technology and on adaptiveness of some of these technologies. So I think, but broadly speaking, on the freight side, this is what we're looking at in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of technologies.
Let me very quickly take in our second poll question, and after that I have an audience question that's come in. This is a reminder to enter your questions in the Q&A tab that you see. Our second poll question is, do you think this budget will bring back much needed rural consumption? That's popped up on your screens. If you are our audience who's logged in for today's masterclass, it's a yes or no question. Do you think the budget will bring back much needed rural consumption? Do send us your responses. This is a question that is coming in from Swapnil Singh. He says, settlements, disputes, resolution. What more should the government be doing on this to ease up doing business in India, Inc.? Balaji, I will have to pose this question to you. Given your experience, of course, what would you like to say?
No, I think this government is taking a lot of positive steps if you look at it in terms of ease of doing business. The fact that they focused on that along a few years ago, and it's one thing about just moving up the ranks of EODB in the World Bank, rating. That's one part. But on a more practical side, I think the emphasis that the government is doing is about making sure go to the root cause of the problem, see if you can resolve them, so you don't create more problems in the future. So that's one part of it, and that's the whole move around low touch, zero touch, smarter governance, and those kind of elements. When you look at projects, you look at dashboards. I think the PM Gati Shakti program, and I won't speak about it. I think I've got two very more experienced colleagues to talk about it. But all of that are pointing towards direction where you're saying, let's make things frictionless. Even in the telecom sector, the focus to see simplify policies. They're not putting about saying if you've got licenses, if you've got regulations, how do we simplify them? And so that future litigations come down, disputes come down, and they can be dealt with. Automatically in the past can be taken off by special dispensations. I mean, you like to have a, I think this is Vinit's favorite topic. I'll leave it to him about the VSV, Vivad Se Vishwas things. I think we need, that's something that he's spoken a lot about, so I think I'll let you touch upon that. But those kind of schemes can help a long way in the context of specific sectors that have past litigation that are piled up over time.
We had asked the question as far as rural India is concerned. Again, all of you who have responded, that the majority have said 69% have said yes, 31% have said no. Then I'm going to take closing comments from Puneet and Partha as well, and just reading out a quote that we heard from the RBI governor when we heard the monetary policy announcement. He said India is taking a different recovery route from the rest of the world and will be one of the fastest growing and continues to be the fastest growing economy.
Absolutely. I think I have great hope for the future, at least for the next 5-7 years. The kind of growth that we're expecting in the country should be phenomenal, because a lot of the things are falling into place, whether it is from a policy perspective, whether it is from a geopolitics perspective, the China Plus One strategy, for example, or from a perspective of what people want. And in that context, demand will create the supply and supply will create the demand. So I'm extremely bullish for the next 5-10 years for our economy.
So I would just say the following two things to all my MSME and SME friends. Okay, hold on, the growth is coming. Don't run out of cash and push hard. Okay. So there is always this last breath, the thing is darkest before it's light. I think there is light now. So, and I think you should push forward now and hold on. The second one I would say is that think digital, be digital, born digital. Just keep repeating this as you do your traditional business to come doing new business. So every time try to recreate. So these are two messages I leave to them.
Balaji, this is a question for you, and I'm going to take closing comments at this point. The overarching theme that we have for the leaders of tomorrow in the 10th edition of the show is shaping entrepreneurs for the new age. And one thing that's definitely shaping them and is going to continue impacting them is automation and digital. I'm referring to a Future of Jobs report that the IMF put out late last year. Just the headlines for the sake of today's masterclass. Workforce is automating faster than expected, displacing nearly 85 million jobs in the next 5 years. And automation in tandem with COVID-19 has created a double disruption scenario for jobs and businesses. That being said, the robot revolution will create 97 million new jobs. This is not an India-specific report, but Balaji, my question to you is, for our entrepreneurs who are watching today, a lot of these jobs don't even exist today. So how do you perhaps prepare for those jobs of the future? What would you advise for our entrepreneurs?
I think the young people of today are nimble and they're willing to learn. I think that's the attitude they bring in. To me, that matters more than anything else, because to your point, if there are going to be new opportunities created, all they need to do is to follow where those investments are coming. Digital, green, infrastructure, and all those areas are again EV. All of those things are directions that have been set for the long haul. And as long as they're aligned with that particular dimension, then getting skills today with the online, access to information that they have, even getting skills through the National Skill Qualification Framework is one option. The digital universities that are being talked about for tomorrow, but even today, if you look at it, the ability to learn online is extremely high. They just have to get down to it. I have no doubt. I'm very optimistic about their ability to basically pick up these new areas and dimension themselves and their future course of action.
All right, completely out of time then. What's coming up on our next masterclass and what's coming up on the rest of this 20-part exclusive series? All of those details are on our website, on your screens as we speak. Also, that number you see there, that's where you can reach us directly. Just give us a missed call, just send us a message on that WhatsApp number, and we will get in touch with you immediately. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.